I tend to go back and forth. I'm not a purist, or I'm not an extremist about the terms.
DePaul professor Dr. Lourdes Torres says describing an entire diverse community with just one term is difficult.
I don't think we'll ever come to a consensus that will make everybody happy, and that's okay. What we find in the research is that still today, most Latinos identify by their national term, not the pan-ethnic term.
How we describe this multifaceted community has changed over the years. Hispanic Heritage Week was established in 1968 by President Lyndon Johnson, making Hispanic the preferred term for decades. But because some associate the word Hispanic with colonialism, Latino and Latina became popular in the 1990s. Latinx first came into use in the early 2000s.
No one has come up with the one true, everybody agrees on this etymology. But my understanding is that it first came up on the internet, and that it was introduced by queer Latinx young people. They started using this term, and that it got taken up by other groups.
Antonio Santos identifies as a queer first-generation Latinx and runs the Gage Park Latinx Council, a nonprofit that serves the community through art, education, social justice, and mutual aid.
And I think that any way that you self-identify is absolutely fine for you. The issue comes when folks try to tell other people how they can or cannot identify.
I personally don't identify with the term Latinx just because I don't think it reflects who I am. You know, I think it's an attempt to anglicize, you know, who I am.
Mateo Zapata is a community advocate and photojournalist who identifies as Afro-Colombian.
I don't have a single friend that I grew up with on the south side of Chicago that identifies with that term. That's just real.
Despite a Pew Research Center finding in August of last year that only 3% of Latinos use Latinx, the term is still gaining momentum. Santos says he wouldn't be offended if someone called him Latino, but he says on some levels that's assuming a gender identity.
So what we know is that we're not supposed to assume people's gender identity, and so Latinx is kind of a more respectful term to call somebody unless you know for a fact that they want to be identified as Latino or Latina.
What its value is forcing us to think about who we're including and who we're excluding. And because of that, it's an important debate.
There are other variations of Latinx, including Latine, which is mainly used in Latin America because it's easier to pronounce.
Hey, if you like that video, be sure to subscribe to our ABC7 Chicago YouTube channel.